Hello, everybody. We are making two really lovely things today, one of which I have never made before in my life. So it's going to be you and me figuring out how this happens. And I've gone on YouTube. This is Limoncello, which is a lemon liqueur. For it, you simply need the outside part, the rind part of lemons. And I'm going to be I've used probably 10 or 12 lemons. What you do, and you infuse it with alcohol. You infuse it for a long time, supposedly, like 3 weeks well, the recipe, one recipe said a week, one recipe said a month. I'm going to do it in 2 weeks. I figured 2 weeks sounds good. Lemons from my lemon tree. I stood and picked 40 lemons from my lemon tree without moving from the spot. I mean, I've got
I'm so jealous. Oh,
lemons up the wazoo. As far as the alcohol, I have old vodka. I looked it up. I found that vodka is supposed to not have a taste. And can you tell the difference between between expensive and cheap vodka? You can, but I don't know. And so I'm using cheap because that's what I have. You can use Everclear, which is an alcohol without taste. It's much more alcoholic than vodka, the vodka you can buy, because in California, you can't buy 180 proof alcohol. You just can't. I think Everclear, the ones that I saw were Everclear is what it's called, were 120. But if you go out of state, they have much more alcohol content.
Oregon.
Oregon.
We got it there.
The problem is that I went to the liquor store that sells it and found out that it cost $32. And I thought, I'm not getting it. Not doing it. I probably would have bought it if it was 20, but not $32. It's just not worth it to me. I'm not that much of a liqueur drinker, for that matter. So I got my lemons from my lemon tree and washed them off in hot soapy water, rinsed them well. Now, if I had gotten these from the supermarket, I would have really scrubbed them because they have wax on them usually. You don't know, but they often have wax on them. So you'd need to clear that off if you're doing it. And then you are to peel using a potato peeler, just the yellow part. Now, if you look at this, there's no white on the side that I took it off of. You're not supposed to use any of the white at all. And it's really fast. It took me, maybe 10 minutes to do like 15 lemons. The only thing is that you are not supposed to use any other part of them. So there you have the lemon peel. Here's your lemon. Now, I juiced all of those lemons that I had already done. And I got the lemon juice here, which I'm going to use in the preserved lemons. So that's why I'm doing this together today. We wouldn't have time to do the lemon curd that I was planning on doing with doing both of these things. Now, I got a jar, and all you do is, which I poured boiling water into. I probably didn't have to sterilize it, but what the heck, I might as well. You put all of your peels, whoops, from your lemons in there.
Now, Kate, if my jar is like 20 ounces instead of that very clearly like 60-ounce jar that you've got, would I use like 6 lemons?
No, what you do is, like, this is not going to be, I just had this jar. It's not like you have to have this big jar. I didn't want to buy it. So I had it. You could use one that's half this, because for 10, oh, and by the way, yes, you can cut this recipe in half easily. All of these recipes can be cut in half. Both of these recipes can. But this is for 1 liter. Of alcohol. And considering everything is sort of like up in the air as far as how much of it, you know, if you don't have a liter, put in 3/4 of a liter. Who cares? Put it in. See, it didn't even come all the way up. I'll probably put a little bit more alcohol in there. What the heck? And now, this is supposed to go somewhere outside of direct sunlight. Many people have said it should be in the dark. I don't know. Many recipes said put it in the dark. I'm just putting it in my pantry and putting it on a shelf, and you're supposed to shake it up every once in a while. For how long? Well, it says, I've heard in recipes, 4 days, a week, 2 weeks, 3 weeks, 4 weeks. I don't know. So I'm going to put it in for about 2 weeks and then see what happens. After this alcohol turns yellow, it's a really bright yellow, then you make a sugar syrup, combine it with the alcohol that's in here, and bottle it. Again, if you were living in Sicily, you wouldn't necessarily use a sugar syrup. You'd use a honey syrup. The color would be different, but honey was readily available and not as expensive as white sugar. That's why I included it in my recipe. We're going to see, and I'm going to let you know. If you try this, please let me know how you did it, how long you soaked it. This is a grand experiment, and I think it's really a wonderful thing to be able to do it. Oh, how long do you leave these in for? Okay, I'm going to say something really gross. one old Italian guy said, you leave it in there until these are really crisp, like toenails. Ooh, ew, gross. But these are not supposed to be flexible. They're supposed to be really crispy. And so I'm going to keep my eye on them after a week or so, and I will let you know. And you've got to let me know if you do it. Also, please keep track of what kind of alcohol you use. Because if this turns out to be really good, the next batch I might be willing to spring for a much more expensive alcohol than cheap vodka. So, hi, Joni. How are you? So that's the limoncello.
May I?
Just
Kate?
speaking, can I just speaking as a former bartender, that if you're going to mix alcohol with anything, cheap versus expensive doesn't matter a whole lot. So
That's what I kind of thought, and I'd heard you say that in the past. So, yeah. Yeah, Susan?
The more expensive the vodka, the more taste it has. So you want to get the cheapest vodka you can because it has no taste. And it also doesn't take, or whatever, but just whatever's cheap. Because it hasn't been aged and it doesn't have any, you want something that doesn't have any flavor. And it's not worth getting Everclear, which is very expensive, and it's not the same as the Europeans use anyway. So, and it takes half the time. If you use vodka, it's half the time of proving it.
Okay.
So instead of 3 weeks, a week and a half.
Okay.
And then I've done it like a week and a half in a quart jar. I've used the zest of 8 large lemons, then fill it up. Then after a week and a half, I put this, not all the way, just this far from the top, because you want to put your simple syrup in it. And then you put the simple syrup in, and then you strain it all.
Right.
And then you put it in little gift bottles and give it away to your friends.
Of course.
Or use it for baking. Baking it's all wondrous for cakes. Oh,
Yeah.
muffins.
Or you can sit on your back patio and have a little tiny glass of it watch the setting sun.
Well, it's a digestivo. It's a digestive. So the Italians serve it after a meal.
Right.
But I can't drink, so I just use it for flavoring.
Yeah. So there you go.
And the vodka be too old. I don't know how many decades that big bottle of vodka has been sitting under the counter.
It doesn't matter. This is
Okay.
sitting here since Lucky's was out there. And that's 25 years ago.
no, vodka doesn't it doesn't age the way things like wine do sometimes, or it doesn't. If it's already bottled and sitting in your pantry, you're fine.
I don't drink vodka. I mean, I do drink, but not vodka. And I might have some limoncello if I made it, but it's not something that's particularly something I would do. So that's our grand experiment. And now we can do something that I have done often in the past, and I use all the time, and that's preserved lemons. I love preserved lemons. They're really good for baking, for putting, oh my gosh, what else? You can put them in, tagines. I don't include them in my recipes for tagine, usually because people don't have them on hand, and they're really expensive, and I can't understand why they're so expensive. You put them in dressings. Tonight I'm going to make a salad and I'm going to make rice pilaf, and I'm going to put it into the pilaf. You can put them with potatoes. I mean, you can use them wherever you would use fresh lemons, and in a lot of places where you wouldn't use fresh lemons, you just want that right taste. They're really good. So how do you make them? Okay. A jar. And I'm going to put the canning thing on top of it. You don't have to use this. Put about, a couple of tablespoons at the bottom, like that, because that's going to be your base for, this is salt and kosher salt. I really like Diamond Crystal kosher salt better than any other, but whatever. You've got your lemons, which of course you're going to make sure that they're clean and don't have any wax on them, and you cut off the ends, the top, and then you cut them. Let's move this down a little bit. Cut them into quarters like this. Only you don't have to cut them all the way through, though. I think that last batch, I just cut them in quarters and stuck them in there. If they're cut into quarters, they're fine. And I'm just going to put salt all over it. Oops. Throw it in and keep going with this. Keep putting in salt. And I'm just putting the salt on it a little bit. We're going to fill it up with salt in a minute. Okay. And I'm going to find, where is it? The rammer. Push it down, push it down. Now it's gonna release some juice, not much. Stick a little more salt in there and just keep going. Oh, well, good. I screwed that up. Cut it into quarters. What the heck? And one more. I'm not doing the cute thing. I'm just going to push it in like that. You notice how I'm really measuring? Not. None of this matters. Now I've used probably a half a cup of salt. I've rammed it down. Maybe I could get another one in there, but I'm not going to. This is the juice from all of the lemons that I zested. And I'm just going to fill it up. to the top. There you have it. Put the lid on. Now I sterilized this jar. I made sure that it was. And let's see, I'm going to make sure that it is all the way covered. There we go. And you leave this at room temperature for, a good week. And it doesn't have, don't put it in direct sunlight, but it doesn't have to be in the dark. So I'm going to put both of them together and shake it up. I mean, can it be any easier? This is crazy. This is super easy. You do this once a day, every day for a week. Because it is salt, it's going to be preserved. Salt is a natural preservative. And after a week or so, put it in the fridge and it's ready to use when the rind of the lemon, and I'll show you how it is. I need a fork. Hang on. When the rind of the lemon actually sort of just dissolves. It's very, very, it just dissolves. It's great. And it tastes incredible. You'd probably, if you didn't want as much salt in it as you would ordinarily have, you could rinse it off. Whenever I make a tagine, I just don't use as much salt in the tagine or into the recipe. You don't have to put any salt in, say, salad dressing. You just, it's very soft, very mild tasting. It tastes wonderful. And it's particularly good for ethnic cooking, like Moroccan cooking. But it will also do really well in almost any kind of lemon recipe. I have never made it in lemon meringue pie, but there you have it. So it's an easy thing. You should have it ready probably in 2 to 3 weeks. It'll be fine. And like I said, it will keep for a year. Now I'm sure that the limoncello will keep a lot longer than that because it's alcohol. But if I were giving this as a gift, I would also include recipes to go along with it, because people look at it and go, what do I do with it? You know, so.
Kate, as someone who has never canned anything in my life ever, where do you get those big jars?
There's Target,
Okay.
Ralph's, Vaughn's has them.
Any market.
Really?
Yeah.
And you can get them from Amazon.
Yeah.
Yeah, they're easy to find.
Okay.
I have these. I also have, oh, nice. Here are these for jams and jellies. If you only have like 1 or 2 lemons and you just want to try it, put them in here. You know, these are quart, and these are huge, you know, but these can be canning as well. Though I have never canned in them, I just store things in them. You can use for canning, supermarket jars for that matter. You know, I think, hang on.
Well, I have like, spaghetti sauce jars.
Yeah.
I have a couple of these. But that's, yeah.
Atlas, these are spaghetti sauce. Atlas mason jars. I cleaned out the spaghetti. Oh, Classico spaghetti. By the way, the canning lids fit on the Classico jars. They fit so that they will actually make a canning seal on these jars. I don't usually use these spaghetti sauce that from these, but when I do, I save the jars always in the garage, along with everything else. And then you just sterilize them before you use them. You can sterilize jars in the oven at 350 for 20 minutes, or you can sterilize them in boiling water. I almost always use boiling water to sterilize the jar and the top. Now I sterilize this top as well. If you get the jars, you can buy extra tops so that you just never throw away the jars. You can give them away, but you can't ever, I never throw them away because it's just,
You want to make sure and get the big mouth ones too, not the little mouth.
These are little. You can get quart jars with little mouths. Don't do it.
Yeah.
It's really, if you're going to do any kind, I also use these for freezer jam. Freezer jam is really easy. And you can buy pectin, and it's got the directions for freezer jam. You just use these jars, put them in. You don't have to do a water bath or anything. You just throw them into the freezer. But it's also good if you're going to do any kind of canning to get this little hot item, which is like a funnel, and it fits right over the jar. It's really easy to fill them without making a huge mess. I also have this cute little thing, which is for lifting things out of boiling water. And these are dead cheap. They're dead cheap. Even if you're going to do a lot of canning, get them. If you're just trying it out, don't bother though.
Lifter works really well with Instapot too, Kate.
Oh yeah,
In and out of the Instapot.
I use this with the Instapot all of the time because it's perfect for reaching in and grabbing something and taking it out, and without hurting your hand. The Instapot is mighty. It's just mighty fine for doing all kinds of things. So, and we're going to do the lemon curd next week, lemon curd tart next week. So does anybody have any questions? Yes, ma'am.
Have you tried to preserve anything else, like oranges? Like if you have a surplus of oranges? I don't know what you use it for.
I know that people have done limes, preserved limes.
So you need tartness more, maybe?
I don't know.
I don't know.
I don't know. I have never done oranges.
Okay.
This way. I know
I don't
that
think oranges have enough acid.
That's what I want. Yeah. I don't know. Sometimes you get a surplus of something and it's like, I would like to do something different.
yeah. I really get it.
But
Orange
probably
marmalade, though, orange marmalade is probably one of the greatest things ever.
true.
It's just saying, you know. So,
My mother makes raspberry liqueur the same way you make limoncello, and it is lovely.
wait a minute. You mean raspberries in there?
Yeah,
Oh,
lemon.
that would be mighty fine.
Yeah, it is. It's great.
So I'm going to have to do that. We don't need to make it in a huge jar. We can make it in a smaller jar. And I've got some leftover vodka, so why not? Okay, that sounds like a real plan.
Yeah.
You have to smash the raspberries?
Yeah, she smashed them a little bit, but not much.
Okay,
Just, shake it up. Like you do with the limoncello
okay, well, I have this jar, see?
already.
All you have to do is get raspberries, and I will do it soon so that we can do a taste comparison between the two.
Mm.
Sounds like a plan.
Everybody's going to be snockered by the time it's
That's a good thing.
Things
Pretty
go-
soon, we'll all be fully vaccinated and we can gather.
Yes,
and Carrie the bartender's taking notes.
Mary the bartender is my go-to girl for anything liquor related, because I don't do liquor related, but she does. You've made some really good cocktails over the years.
A gift. Never mind, I haven't been a bartender for 15 years. It never leaves you.
Once a bartender, always a bartender.
It's true.
So anyway, there you are. I hope that you've enjoyed today. We will be checking back with this again and see what we've created. Anyway, so there you are. Thank you.
Thank you. Yay! Yay!